The San Jose Sharks lost their final preseason game to the Utah Mammoth 6-4, but they won the shootout. Isn't that what really matters?
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. If you want to be an everyday, all you have to do, just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be breaking down the Sharks 6-4 loss to the Utah Mammoth, a game where they got boat raced in the first period, showed plenty of resolve in the second period, but just couldn't find that extra gear in the third period. A formula which sounds very familiar. We'll talk about Dickinson and Askarov, who both had rough nights, we'll be honest. And then we'll dig into the numbers behind this game. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So we will continue with, as we've been kind of doing with these preseason games, with the good, bad, ugly kind of formula, as the San Jose Sharks in their final preseason game lose 6-4 to the Utah Mammoth. Macklin Celebrini made his return and his first preseason game after dealing with an illness, all for a good chunk of preseason here and training camp. But the Sharks. Let's start with the good with this game. And I think you have to point to the second period where San Jose was, right, as poor of an effort as you could expect from the Sharks in the first period. Tough performance. Second period, though, they found their gear. Right. And the resolve in this team, I think, is a big part of what to kind of expect for San Jose in this year as you try to kind of build this thing here. And I do think like that second period showed a lot, right? Because how many times have we seen these 4-1 games turn into 7-1 type of games, right? And the Sharks battled back and fought back and made this a game, right? It was 4-4 after the second period. So good to see there. Good to see the resolve from this team and the fight from this team. And the hope is you don't have as many of the first periods that we had, where that's the hope, right? Is you don't have as many of the first periods as we had in the going into the regular season. But it's good to know this team isn't going to quit and isn't going to give up from the Sharks, from a fan perspective, right? So I do think that showed a lot. And you saw it was a lot of different people contributing to it, right? And seeing Celebrini and Will Smith, who I thought Will Smith had his best period of the preseason in the second period, and playing with Macklin Celebrini will do that, right? For Will Smith, who I think's had a little bit of an up and down preseason, but he hasn't been able to play with Celebrini, and we know the chemistry that those two have. That ridiculous pass from Macklin Celebrini to Will Smith on the power play, where he just nutmegs Ian Cole there. That's your Macklin Celebrini thing. Actually, that and the Macklin Celebrini diving to stop an empty netter with down by 2 in the preseason. The kids one of one for Celebrini, but just seeing that, right? And you had Adam Gaudette, who I think has been one of the best Sharks, for his role. We know what Adam Gaudette is. He's a bottom 6 player, but he's been easily their most consistent Shark. And I think tonight, tonight gives you hope that he can help to kind of elevate this bottom six, which has been a disaster over the past couple of seasons, right? And that, the Goodrow, Gaudette, Reeves line was pretty solid tonight, to be honest. And we'll dig into it a little bit more at the end of the show. But I feel really good about Gaudette and what his role is going to be for the Sharks. And I think he's going to have a big year for them. And again, you're trying to kind of elevate this bottom six here, which has been an absolute disaster. And I think Gaudette's kind of a huge, huge part of that. Do I think he's going to score 20 goals like he did last year? Probably not, but if he can keep San Jose from playing in their own zone and score some goals off the rush here, and Gaudette looks like he's got his wheels. It feels like he's going to have a pretty big season for San Jose and for them. So it was good to see kind of just some of the other positive performances tonight. Again, Barclay Goodrow had a goal, good for nice for him tonight. Tyler Toffoli, a goal and assist as well for Toffoli. And we've seen Toffoli with those bar down shots. Like, he's made an entire career out of those bar down type of shots. And good to we just pencil in 25 to 30 goals from him. I thought Luka Medulin had a pretty solid night as well. He didn't really play kind of him and Ferraro didn't really play much in the third period there, as they wanted to kind of give Dickinson a big push there at the end. And we'll talk more about Dickinson here in a little bit, but I thought Luka Medulin, again, I think had a pretty solid night as well, and especially when it came to kind of driving some of the offense for San Jose. But it's tough to it was such a weird game where you're down you're down 4-1. You can't buy a save. You anything that's goes wrong, just ends up going to the back of the net, and just them kind of finding that gear and getting things going in the second period. It does give me some hope. And again, it is the preseason, right? And yes, would you like them to play much cleaner, et cetera, et cetera? Yes, but I do think this team is going to have some I think they're going to have some rocky moments here, especially the first kind of couple weeks, month of the season, because there just is so many new players and new pieces, right? With guys like Jeff Skinner and, Klingberg, who played one game in the preseason, Letty, who's new here, right? Just all Orlov, who had a rough game the other night. I do think with all these new players and pieces, there's going to be a little bit of a gelling. So do not write the season off if the Sharks come out a little slow out of the gate. Don't write the season off. But if you can get some more performances like you did in the second period, I think the Sharks are going to be okay this year. And that's what we're asking for, is can you just kind of be okay? So we're going to talk about Dickinson and Askarov here, who both struggled and made some solid plays, but both, I think, had nights that they probably would like to redo. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives you a bunch of different ways to play. They have parlays, so if you kind of have a feeling how a game's going to go, you can do something like that. They have player props. I really like Tua to have a pretty solid game against the Bengals, and give me a Darren Waller touchdown against not the Bengals, sorry, the Panthers, but give me a Darren Waller touchdown, and even follow live lines during the game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So what have you been waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right. Before we continue, do of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't yet, perfect time to subscribe, as we're done with our preseason. We have Thursday, first game of the season. So we'll have plenty of fun stuff getting ready for the season. Our good friend Max Miller will come on here, scheduled to come on. We're going to do kind of our annual over-unders and props and all this fun stuff. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. All right. So the bad, I think Askarov. Especially after Nedeljkovic's performance yesterday with the kids. Nedeljkovic was absolutely solid, right? Spectacular. And you hoped Askarov would kind of come out and match tonight. And did not, right? Like weird game. It felt like the teams only got Sharks only had 13 shots on goal and Utah only had 24. It felt much higher, but it wasn't. But when you give up 6 goals on 24 shots, not a math guy, but that's 3/4 of you're making 3/4 of the saves there. You were hoping Askarov would come out and try to kind of cement himself and put himself in position to kind of undoubtedly be Thursday's opening night starter. And now I don't know, if you're Warsofsky, Nedeljkovic has been the better goalie to start the season. And again, none of us or myself, I didn't expect Askarov to just kind of come out and get 2/3 of the games to start the season. It should be a 50-50 split. So if Nedeljkovic starts Thursday, Askarov is going to start on Saturday. It shouldn't be a big deal of, you're not going to see just Askarov getting, a bunch of starts here to start. I very much believe they're on the Dustin Wolf plan of 50-50 to start the season. And then hopefully Askarov kind of takes over here. So, but it was a little disappointing in the first period where definitely that first goal was really soft. I know, some of the goals you kind of got left out to dry. Some of them you definitely want to save there. Like the Dylan Guenther goal, Guenther's got an amazing shot. There's, would you like to have got over half a second sooner? Yes, probably. But again, Dylan Guenther's got an amazing shot. And even I the last two, right? That the fifth goal was super fluky that bounced off Mukamadon and then bounced off McBain and went in. There's not too much you can do there. And then the tandem goal where there's a reason why his name is Turbo, right? Because he's so fast and he just burns the defensive guys. And Will Smith and Macklin are doing their best to try to get back there. But you would have liked, when things were kind of going off the rails in the first period, for Askarov to kind of be that guy who can stop the bleeding, right? So just it's disappointing, especially after how well Nedeljkovic has played, that Askarov just kind of wasn't able to kind of match that and keep the Sharks in it, so they don't have to kind of make this furious comeback in the second period. So preseason, again, not worried, but just it would have been nice to see him kind of stand on his head a little bit there. And we've seen him stand on his head before. So the ugly tonight, though, was Sam Dickinson. And I don't think this means that Sam Dickinson is going to, not make the team and Sam Dickinson's a bust and stuff like that. I do think that, it was actually, one, kind of by design, and two, kind of, just a reminder. So Warsofsky, this is from Max Miller. Warsofsky and Sam Dickinson. I thought Dickey was just okay. I thought he struggled a little bit moving pucks, which is to be expected. The kid's been through the ringer here for 3 weeks with a rookie tournament, starting back-to-backs and the travel. He'll be fine. We'll continue to work with him. He was just off a little tonight. And again, I think that was also part of the design, right? He played back-to-back, played a bunch of minutes against Vegas, traveled to San Jose, traveled from San Jose to Utah, which the travel's a little bit weirder during the preseason. And they threw him out a bunch at the end of the third. And I think this was kind of that stress test with Sam Dickinson tonight. And did he play well? No. And easily his worst game of the preseason. That's fine. Again, we know that like the Sharks are not going to do this to him. I think in the regular season where they're going to put him in these positions, and the Sharks should have a more veteran lineup. And again, like if Sam Dickinson kind of goes with the Will Smith approach, where maybe they hold him out on back to backs and they kind of limit his minutes as best they can as a defenseman, but I do think they wanted to kind of put him in a stress test and see how he performed. And he made some solid plays. He also made some bad plays tonight, and like you're going to see that from a 19-year-old defenseman, which is again, it is fine from him. So I think this will be a big time learning experience. I also believe in Sam Dickinson. I watched him enough at London where when you would see him have a bad game, which was rare, but you would see him have bad games, he would bounce back with a monster performance the next game in London. And yes, different approach with San Jose and in the NHL, but I think there's enough there. And I think that the Sharks are going to be able to navigate with him. Like you knew there's going to be some rough patches with Dickinson as he gets used to the speed of the NHL and the pace and kind of that decision making. I'm not worried. Right? Again, it's not this whole season is about the development of Dickinson and Misa and Eklund and Smith and Celebrini and Askarov. Like you just want them like to show improvement and take steps. And if you have a bad game, which Dickinson clearly had a bad game tonight, how do you respond? Right. Now, I think that's the big question for Dickinson is how do you respond? And I firmly believe Dickinson's going to have a much better night on Thursday night when he plays when they play against Vegas or whenever he's in the lineup next. I do believe Dickinson's going to have a much better performance in his next game than compared to what we saw tonight. So, but overall, like there was plenty of like that whole first period was just poop, and the third period, like again, that kind of not finding that next gear. So we're going to talk about that here a little bit. We'll dig into the numbers, talk about kind of all the forwards, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. All right, before we finish up, do of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the 2025 NHL season preview on Locked On NHL, an 8-episode series bringing the best local insight to make you the most informed NHL fan heading into this season. They have each division. You have a round table of teams that were like in the playoffs or just missed the playoffs, and then you have a round table of teams that are the hopefuls to kind of jump up. You can go check out the Pacific Hopefuls here on Locked On Sharks. Or like I said, you can check them all out on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right. So again, not a lot of offense in this, or not a lot of sustainable offense, we'll say, as 10 goals on, combined like less than 40 shots. Not great goaltending tonight, but 5-on-5 though, 47-52 of 5-on-5. Mammoth out took 38 to 33 shot attempts, so much closer. A lot of that, the Sharks coming back in the second period to kind of really even that up there. Actual shots though, 18 to 11 in favor of the Mammoth. 20 to 16 scoring chances in favor of the Sharks, 10 to 4 high danger chances in favor of the Mammoth, 1.53 to 1.12 expected goals for in favor of the Mammoth, though. For the forward lines here, Eklund, Wenberg, Toffoli led the way with time on ice, 10:31, 8 to 10 shot attempts, 2 to 3 actual shots, had a goal, gave up a goal as well. 0.18 to 0.39 expected goals for. Like this line is I think your backup line if Misa's out. The line, like they're professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. They all know their roles on this line. Like if this has to be your second line for an extended period of time, 100% okay with this line. Like if Wenberg has to come up and play, and like Toffoli had a goal tonight. I thought Eklund was super effective as usual tonight. Like Eklund's had a really good preseason. I feel like he's going to have a really big season for the Sharks. And as he continues his growth and development, like just perfectly professional line, which is a huge upgrade of what we've had the past couple seasons. So we'll take it. Smith, Celebrini, Khrushchev, 10-25, 10-7 shot attempts, 3-2 actual shots, 0 goals for, gave up a goal, 0.31 to 0.13 expected goals for, 5-2 high scoring chance. Like, turns out Macklin, Celebrini, pretty important to what the Sharks are going to want to do this year, as he should be, right? Macklin Celebrini's pretty good at hockey. But you saw the chemistry with Celebrini and Smith right away, especially in the second period. Again, I thought Smith had his best period of the preseason, the second period. No coincidence with Macklin Celebrini back. It opens up Will Smith to go do Will Smith things. And I think Khrushchev's going to be that kind of, line connector on this line. I'm really curious to see, I do want to see how this line continues its growth and development. And we've seen Khrushchev be a big piece with Bedard 2 years ago. We're hoping that these Sharks can kind of find that again by having him play with Macklin Celebrini. So interesting, I like to see kind of how this line continues its growth. So Gaudreau, Gaudette, Reeves, 8-16, 5-2 shot attempts for, 4-1 actual shots, 2 goals for. Adam Gaudette, like I mentioned earlier, Adam Gaudette, I think he's going to have a really nice role for the Sharks. And I think, again, elevating that bottom six, which desperately needs elevation. Reeves, wasn't as, I think he was a little bit quieter tonight compared to what we saw the other night when he played. But, I understand why Reeves was in the lineup, especially with what we saw from Utah last year with them trying to be a menace. If Reeves can just play like this, that's a big if. And it's not every game, but if Reeves can play like this when he's in the lineup, just quietly effective, we'll live with it. So Gaudreau probably with that goal secured his job tonight. So we'll see. I don't expect Gaudreau to get waived or anything like that, but still. And then Skinner, Ostapchuk, Ethan Cardwell played 640, 4-7 shot attempts, 1-4 actual shots, gave up a goal as well. 0.09 to 0.41 expected goals for. Cardwell pretty quiet tonight. Unfortunately, would have liked to see him kind of build off his performance from yesterday. But again, kind of a little bit of the, second night of a back-to-back with a fair amount of travel rate from Vegas to San Jose, from San Jose to Utah. So, a little bit quiet there. Same thing with Ostapchuk. Ostapchuk, they mentioned on the broadcast, guy just cannot keep his stick. Either breaks or he loses it or something like that. We need to get him the tacky glue or something. I don't know, to keep his stick in his hand or not break. I don't know. But it's hard for me to envision Ostapchuk making the roster out of camp right now. So we shall see. And then Skinner, I'm going to kind of hold off on Skinner because I playing with Ostapchuk and Cardwell. He had a nice kind of turnaround shot there. Again, I think when Skinner's playing with Wenberg or whomever, he'll be more effective than what he was tonight. So defensively though, I do think, I kind of talked about it a little bit, but I thought Luke Madulan continues to have a pretty strong preseason, and I thought he kind of followed up tonight. Like we talked about yesterday with Desharnais, I think he's just going to, I think he's going to be your eighth defenseman if he needs to play. He needs to play, and he'll be cromulent. Nothing spectacular. Ferraro, what Ferraro is, again, kind of got burnt on that one play by Brandon Tanev there. Liljegren and Nick Leddy were okay-ish, right? But again, I think you saw that they wanted to get Dickinson and some of the young guys an opportunity to kind of play as much as possible. And then Askarov, like I said, tough night for Askarov. Probably one he wants to quickly forget and move on from. I think we've seen Askarov, even last year at the Barracuda, though, we've seen Askarov put a bad game behind him pretty quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised if whenever we see Askarov, if he comes out and has a strong performance. So overall, though, like, I'm so glad the preseason is done. We can actually talk about like real, get to the real hockey here. It'll be nice next year when we're down to just 4 preseason games instead of 6. And especially with just the way the Sharks had it scheduled this year, right? Where you had 4 preseason games in 6 days. Like that's, yeah, like let's 4 preseason games over like 10 days, I think is the way to go right there. So get a little bit of time in between, whatever, something like that. But next year it'll be fun with it, kind of a little bit different. But anyway, that's gonna be it. We'll be back Sunday night as we'll have some roster changes and try to get as close to as a final roster as we can. Like I said, Max Miller is scheduled to be on for our annual conversation here later this week. We'll get you guys geared up and ready for the as the Sharks take on the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll have probably some bold predictions as well. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts, and of course you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tomorrow. Bye, friends.